Keldrick Faulk may be the most crucial Auburn Tiger on the entire roster, but when you look at the 2023 class, he's not alone.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate. We're joined by Auburn Message Board Legend and the host of the Top Button Podcast. That is Charlie 5. Happy Tuesday to you, sir. Keldrick Faulk, I think you can make the case he's the most crucial player on the 2024 Auburn Tigers roster. But you can look at his entire class, which is what Hugh Freeze built in that kind of month leading into December of 2023. He flipped all of these guys, Keldric Faulk, Kayin Lee, a bunch of these dudes. And so let's go through 5 guys in the 2023 class that need to step up in order for Auburn to win football games and maybe even overachieve in 2024. And Charlie 5, I assume you believe Keldrick Faulk is number 1 here.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, his importance this year is exponential because
sure.
you lost your one true, I guess. I don't want to say like that our best defensive lineman, because we have a bunch of guys that can play, that can make impact. But Marcus Harris he was your tackle for loss guy. He was your disruption guy, and you don't have that anymore. And Keldrick Faulk's really the only one coming back that's shown that he can rush the passer. He can create movement and disruption in the backfield. And his importance is like exponential this year. Last year it was a luxury. This year you got to have him. And I think he's primed and ready to go from a body, from the body standpoint, and then from just the overall talent standpoint. He is going to be. We need him to be a monster, and I think he's going to be a monster next year.
Yeah, just as far as potential impact, because if he does not turn into this 5-star player that Auburn needs him to be in 2024, I think the front 7 could see some issues. I mean, Auburn needs a dude to step up like Marcus Harris did a year ago. And it could be other guys, like it in theory could be, Jason Jones taking another step forward, or it could be one of the transfers coming in, a Gage Keys or a Trill Carter who transferred from Texas. But all signs point to it being Keldrick Faulk, and the fact that he's able to contribute in different ways, both as a defensive end, or I think he's got the size and frame and skill set to scoot inside. We talked about this before the season started a year ago, where it's like a lot of these guys don't really take a big step forward as a pass rusher in the SEC until their second season.
Sure.
Well, Keldrick needs to do that now, because you feel good about McLeod coming off the edge. They didn't really go out and get any other pass rushers. So to me, this staff believes in Keldrick Faulk, and if Keldrick Faulk does not do that and does not live up to the billing, Charlie 5, this is why I think he's one of the most crucial players on the roster. If he doesn't live up to that billing, I think the pass rush is in major trouble in 2024, but I do think he will live up to the billing.
For a 5-star, he checked off all the boxes of what you need to see in year 1 to be able to give you the excitement, to give you the assurance that he can take that net, because you're right. Sophomore year for a 5-star, expectations are, I may have just made that word up. 5-star.
I don't know. You said it so well. I was like, okay. Right.
I owned it. You got to, if you're unsure, just own it.
But
right. In your second year, you're expecting like All-American type years out of your 5-stars. And he did all the stuff his freshman year that he physically, you were worried about the jump from 1A, 2A football in Alabama to playing in the SEC. It took him a few games. Didn't seem to phase him. So it's like, man, one more year of that, how much better can he be? We need him. We need him bad. Need him to stay healthy.
So we agree on one. I think after this we'll disagree moving forward. I remade this list several times, and I didn't. I don't like where I'm at now with this list of 5 guys in this 2023 class. I mean, this 2023 class is crucial. I mean, this is a big deal, which is what you do when you recruit well, right? It's like, okay, these guys, and Hugh Freeze and the staff was only here for a month, and they really put together this class. It was ranked like 40 something, and then finished in the top 20 with what they did. And that was a fun month for sure. I almost feel like I have to put Connor Lew at 2, and I don't think I want to. Is that what you did?
Yeah, I got Connor Lew at 2.
All right, then I'm not going to do that. So you talk about why you put Connor Lew as the second most crucial player in this 2023 class.
Well, I mean, you come in halfway through the year and you take over, and also I kind of looked at it as well as like the way the kids were ranked last year, and then how they actually performed, and then how they'll project moving forward. Like Connor Lew was middle of the pack, and as far as class ranking goes, you just don't get a lot of high ranking out of interior offensive lineman. I think he was like a 3-star in most sites. You bring him in and he performs like a 5-star. He halfway through the year, he takes over because of an injury, and then they're like, let's just roll with this. He's actually pretty dang good. You and I both were unsure that he would be able to be kept off the field even if everybody was healthy. But he got his shot. He's your center. I don't know who the backup center is. Let's just be. I don't know who steps in. I don't know who steps in if he doesn't perform as well, picks up where he left off from last year, or even gets better. So I think he's crucial.
Joyner? Would Joyner be the center off the bench?
Probably.
So
I would think it would probably be one of the guards that may slide in.
Guy in. Yeah.
Maybe like a Dylan Cinda or Tate Johnson, or I don't even know. Is Tate Johnson?
Oh, it would be Tate Johnson.
Yeah, somebody like that. But I think he's crucial. I think the anchor in the middle is big. Continuity there, another year to kind of keep, calling checks, adjustments, or whatever you do, whatever the centers do at the line of scrimmage. Just big to have him here. I think he's very, very crucial.
So the reason I didn't want to put him at 2
is because it's too easy.
Well, I think he's a known commodity. I think when you look at these guys that are now going into their second season of SEC football, is you're expecting this major jump, and we may see a major jump with Connor Lew. But I just think there are other guys at stronger positions of need where you would need somebody to step up. I mean, because if Connor Lew plays the exact same, and I'm expecting him to get better, but if he plays the exact same level of football that he did in the second half of the season, he's still a really solid football player.
All SEC guy, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was kind of where I really struggled.
You're taking him for granted, Zach.
Maybe so. Maybe so. But for the sake of conversation, I'm going to put Kayin Lee at number 2.
I like it.
You lose your 2 starting corners, and it's almost now a blessing in disguise that we got to see Kayin Lee start a few games before Nehemiah Pritchett returned. And he was exceptional. And so I think Kayin Lee, especially now that they went out and got some other guys like Antonio Kite, we'll see what they do with Keontae Scott. But I think Kayin Lee is a number 1 corner in the SEC. I do think he's ready for it. And to me, that is crucial. I mean, how rare can you feel about a guy going to his second year of football? You feel so good about him after losing 2 guys that were in Mobile last week, being coveted by all these NFL teams. I mean, that's a rare situation. And I think there's more room for upside with Kayin Lee than there is Connor Lew. It's minuscule, Charlie 5. It's minuscule, and the fact that this is even a debate is exciting and kind of shows where the upside for this team could be over the next few seasons. But that was kind of my thought process. So I'll put Kayin Lee at 2.
I like it. When you look at who left and then who's stepping up, and like the caliber of player you're replacing. And you're right, Kayin Lee is very important because you're replacing DJ James, who's probably going to be a second or third round pick. You got to replace that production, okay? Because that was very important to the Auburn's defensive success last year. So Kayin's got to be at least at that level, maybe a step down. But I mean, you're thinking you're replacing a huge shoes. You're replacing. You're trying to fill some huge shoes, and I agree. I think he's got to be big, and I think he's got the body. He showed the flashes last year. I like it. He's on my list.
Sure. Yeah. And obviously Connor Lew's 3 on mine, but the rest of our lists are very different. And so we discuss why, maybe have a little debate in just a moment. And also, hey, go ahead and comment your 5 most crucial players, 5 players in the 2023 class that Auburn needs to step up in order to be successful in 2024. Go ahead and drop those in the comments or hit us up on social media. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Charlie, if I'm going to keep you here, actually, can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine wagering on sports anywhere other than FanDuel Sportsbook?
I can't imagine.
It's just Super Bowl week. Happy Super Bowl week to you,
yes,
by the way.
The big
sorry
game.
I didn't say that earlier. Can you imagine getting involved with the Super Bowl and it not being through FanDuel?
I can't imagine trying to guess the Gatorade color or the over and under on the national anthem anywhere other than FanDuel.
There's a line on will there be an octopus? What does that mean?
Wait.
What? What does that even mean?
I guarantee you there'll be an octopus now.
It's like, well, since you asked, sure, but hey, right now, make sure you're ready for Super Bowl Sunday. Seriously, the props for the Super Bowl is just, there's nothing else like it. And so right now, new customers can join today. You'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. Charlie 5, can you imagine buying Auburn gear from anywhere other than Alumni Hall?
I can't, and I don't want to.
No, it's just not a world I want to be. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want my Auburn gear to be officially licensed. I want it to be the real deal. I want it to be the right color blue, the right color orange. And I want to be able to pick from all of these sports. And also, I'm a little I'm looking forward to the days where people, you see the older guys that wear the Auburn dad shirts. Where do they get those? They get them at Alumni Hall. I learned that the other day.
I want to drink out of Auburn cups. I want to eat off Auburn plates. I want to have an Auburn doormat. And I want to go to one place to get all that.
Alumni Hall. Yep.
Alumni
they got 3 physical locations in Auburn, in Opelika, or
Hunts Vegas.
There we go. Then also that's Huntsville for those who are not familiar with the terminology there. Or you can check it out at alumnihall.com. All right. My number 3 guy, as far as we're ranking our 5 players from the 2023 class that need to step up for Auburn to be successful this year, is Connor Lew. We already kind of talked him up. Who is your number 3?
My number 3 is Xaven Miller. Too tall. And let me tell you why. Okay. First of all, he was underranked last year, and then he performed way ahead of where we expected.
A year ahead of schedule.
A complete year ahead of schedule. Mm-hmm. Some will say, I mean, obviously he struggled at times his first year adjusting, but for this offense to be the peak of what it could be with Percy Lewis at left tackle, with Dylan Wade at guard, Connor Lew at center, and then just a battle royale for the other guard position. You got to have Too Tall having another step forward at right tackle. You're talking about you could have one of the better offensive lines that Auburn's had maybe since back in 2017. If Too Tall can take that step forward again, another year at right tackle with all the other positions. I love his size. I love how far ahead of the game he was last year. He was able to take being thrown into the fire, and he showed he was really good at times. He was good enough to move Gunnar Britton inside to guard. So if he can have another year like that, holy cow, where could this line go? Like what kind of offensive line could you have if he takes another step and allows all those other positions to work out the way we need them to work out?
The potential upside and area for improvement on this offensive line, when you look at Xaven Miller from right tackle after having a season in the SEC, is huge, especially when you couple it with the upside of bringing Percy Lewis in, like you said, and then, the potential of Dylan Wade at guard, I think is just insane. So I actually had Xaven Miller number 2 on this list, and I felt silly because I didn't have Connor Lew on it for the reasons that I discussed. So I switched them. So for the sake of conversation, Miller will not be on mine, but he probably should be He absolutely probably should be. It also goes to the testament of the depth of this class that's emerging. But yeah, 100% Xaven Miller coming in, and everything he did last year was huge, was absolutely huge. And you talk about like guys who need to step up. There's probably more room for improvement for him than anybody else we've talked about up to this point.
Sure.
Right. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
No, I think there was times where he struggled at pass protection. And I know in group texts and chats and message boards and everything like that, I think he sort of got picked on there. So there is definitely some room to improve there, but I think he was killer in the run game. So, does his pass pro take a step up when you add in, these a little bit more athletic, a little bit more explosive wide receivers that we can hopefully get the ball out quick to? Does he take that step forward to allow us to be able to get them the ball? I think that's
more upside on the offensive line as far as improvement. Is Xaven Miller second year at right tackle, or Dylan Wade scooting inside to guard? Which one has more upside for improvement? You weren't ready for that question, were you?
I was not. I'm going to stick with Xaven Miller because I think Dylan Wade is just going to not even skip a beat. Like I think he's going to be just as good at right tackle, even better. But he was already playing at a high level, so I think Miller has the opportunity to take a much bigger step than Dylan Wade is from left tackle to guard, because I think he was already playing at a high level.
All right, my fourth person on this list. So Keldric Faulk, Kayin Lee, Connor Lew. My fourth one is Darren Reed, the defensive lineman. And once again, and this is why Keldric is one of the many reasons why Keldric was so high, is because there needs to be dudes on this defensive line that step up. And I think Trill Carter and Gage Keys were brought in to be pieces. I don't think they were brought in to be the dude. And whether I'm talking to Jason Jones on this show or last week in Mobile when I'm talking to Marcus Harris, I think even Hank shouted him out on this show when Hank Brown came on, the baby goat. BG. A lot of people are bringing up Darren Reed, and and it kind of surprises me every time. And I mean, Darren Reed, when you look at the rankings in this class, he was the fourth highest rated player in this class. And we've talked before about, it seems like this coaching staff, they made the decision to stay young on the defensive line because they were pursuing other dudes in the portal, but they went with Gage Keys and Trill Carter. I think they believe in Darren Reed. I think part of their decisions to do that was because they saw the potential upside with Darren Reed. He's a guy I have not talked about a ton. He's a guy we're not hearing a whole lot about from the media, but we're hearing about him from the players. And I think that matters.
Oh, totally. Again, he was one of those crucial flips when Hugh got here, flipping him from LSU. And it was big. He's from Columbus, high 4-star guy. And the thing is, even though you bring in some higher rated freshmen, this past offseason, you're not 100% comfortable just saying those are your guys. And right. Darren Reed is not just some filler body. He was a highly rated guy that you need that sophomore year to take that step forward. I think he showed out in bowl practices. I think there was even you maybe were even sort of worried if he may be a guy that would possibly look at going to the portal. But he showed out in bowl practice, and I think that fired him up, got him seeing the vision of where he can fit in next year on defense. Again, like you said, he's already having shout-outs from workouts and things like that. Very, very anxious to see how spring goes for him, because he's another one of those dudes that can play multiple positions on the defensive line and be athletic and make things happen. And you really need if you could get a Keldric Faulk season last year, this coming up year out of Darren Reed, I think you're ecstatic. I think that's something
that would be insane. That would be so great.
Yeah. I mean, who cares if he's a half a year or just one step behind, Keldric Faulk, who's a freak? Like, who cares?
I guess he'll be a red shirt. So he'll be a red shirt freshman. He only played in the bowl game. I thought we saw him outside of that, but I guess not. He played 5 snaps in the bowl game.
Yeah. So if you could get a Keldric Faulk freshman year next year out of Darren Reed, I think you're ecstatic. You're absolutely ecstatic.
I think that's reasonable.
I think it's very reasonable.
I mean, he's got to win the job. I think the path to playing time was clearer for Keldric a year ago than it is for Reed now. But yeah, Darren Reed's 4 for that reason. So
yeah,
who is your number 4 before we move on to our final parts of the list? And then we'll touch on some honorable mentions as well. So this was tough for me.
My number 4, it was tough for me, but I went with Jeremiah Cobb. And I know we didn't lose a single running back. I know we didn't lose anybody. You brought all 4 back, even Batee. He that went in the portal and came back. So it's like, okay, it's the exact same room. So why is Cobb so crucial? And so, whatever. Cobb gives us an element that no other running back gives us, not even Batee. And the reason is because you got bits and pieces of things that Cobb can do between all the other backs, but Cobb can do it all. Like you got Batee, who's the threat to catch the ball out of the backfield. Cobb can catch the ball out of the backfield and be explosive catching the ball out of the backfield. You got Jarquez Hunter, who can give you the tough yards between the tackles. Cobb can do that. He can do everything that all of the backs do. All of the backs may have like one thing that they can do really well, or some other things that they do kind of average. Cobb does them all well. So another year of him in the weight room, another year of him like having this experience, like he could be a piece of your offense that like takes your offense to a completely different. He's a difference maker. He's just different. You know what I mean? He's just different than all the other backs. And I think another year of him stepping up, another year of development. Holy cow! What could this offense look like with him taking another step forward, a different element coming out of the backfield? So I put Cobb up there.
That's fine. Yeah, I put him. I did not put him in the top 5, and it felt once again like I really struggled making this list because I felt like I was leaving too many guys off, but there's just too many names to put on there. Because I think he is the 3rd running back to start the season. I do think he passes Batee as far as touches go in this offense this upcoming season. But still, I mean, once again, what a great problem to have.
Yeah,
no question about it. All right, we'll share our final names on this list, as well as some guys that we probably should have mentioned in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Charlie 5. Can you imagine getting your parts for your car, truck, or SUV from anywhere other than eBay Motors?
I don't know why you would do it. I don't know why you'd even think about it.
Doesn't make sense. Because with eBay Motors, they have over 122 million parts for your ride or die.
That's so many parts. Like that is an ungodly amount of parts.
I can't even count that high.
No.
And so, I mean, you're always going to find what you're looking for. And Charlie 5, have you heard of the eBay Guaranteed Fit?
Tell me about it.
Well, your part is guaranteed to fit your car every time, or you get your money back.
Holy cow.
Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash.
Oh, I love it.
With all the parts
it's always better when it fits.
That's right. Okay. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and
There's
bring
not always
home
that guarantee.
That win. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So sorry if that does not apply to you. All right. My final guy on this list is top 5, Sylvester Smith. I think Sylvester Smith, to be frank, I think Sylvester Smith is him. I think he's fantastic. I think he is excellent. There's even, I shared this last week, just talking to an NFL scout. I asked about Auburn underclassmen. They're like, Sylvester Smith is who we're watching. So,
wow. That's big praise.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And
for such little film that they have on him, I'd say that's incredible.
They must have looked at some of high school stuff too. Like they had
practice. I'm sure they they practice and just networking and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty eye-opening that they're already paying attention to this guy. And he would have been easy to leave off of this list because you can make the argument of, okay, well, they brought in Jaron Thompson and Laquan Robinson, right? But I just feel like Sylvester Smith is going to beat out one of these dudes. I just got that feeling. Charlie 5. And if one of those other guys is a depth piece, or if Sylvester Smith is a depth piece with what I think he's capable of this year, once again, what a prime situation to be in. So Sylvester Smith is my number 5 here.
I love it. He was one that I struggled not.
What?
I caught it. I heard it. You said it out loud. Everybody heard it. He's one that I had a hard time not putting on my list but the only reason is like, man, does Sylvester Smith athletic ability, does that overcome Jaron Thompson's experience? Because there's no doubt who the better athlete is, who like all the measurables, things like that. Does his athletic ability and upside trump? Does it outweigh Jaron Thompson's experience?
I think it's Sylvester Smith versus Laquan Robinson. I think Jaron Thompson's a lock.
Well, he's more of they have a similar body type. Like I think they'll probably play a similar position because Laquan Robinson's going to be, I think he's going to be your like box safety, head buster type guy. And then you got your lurker guys like.
Well, that's what Jaron Thompson was at Texas. He was more of your guy that they'd scoot up. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a good problem to have. You got a bunch of different dudes back there that can play. But again, I like
good problem to have.
Good problem to have. You're going to find a winner picking if you get your best 2 out of those 3.
Who's your number 5 on this list?
Kayin Lee is my number 5. He had to be on the list. He's very important. He is crucial.
Wait, who's your list now? Keldrick, Connor,
Cobb, Keldrick, Faulk, Luz, Miller, Cobb, and Lee. Kayin Lee. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Kayin Lee's huge. He's huge for us. We got to have a lockdown corner, especially after you lose Pritchett and DJ James.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have Kite. You have Antonio Kite coming in. You have Keontae Scott. Both of those guys could possibly play outside, but I do think you're a better team if Kayin Lee can be your lockdown corner. You can put Kite on the other side and then kind of force Keontae Scott to come back inside and play nickel. I just think that you're a better football team. If that's the case, I think that makes you a better defensive secondary to have that combination versus, I guess Kayin Lee could play inside too, but his length and size, I love him outside.
Yeah. All right. Other guys that were hard to keep off of this list. One, Hank Brown. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way.
I mean, without a doubt.
Terrence Love. I think he's a solid piece. We'll see. I mean, one of the guys between like Terrence Love or Tyler Scott or Colton Hood are going to emerge, I think, and be a key piece in that defensive backfield. I don't know if they all can, but I think that's certainly something there. And then Quintrell, Jamison, Travis, once again, for the same reasons. Like, I really think we need 2 or 3 other guys to step up on this defensive line. He had some moments in the bowl game, so he could be a dude too.
I'll tell you a name that I've heard people rave about is, and it's maybe not necessarily for starter, but you can't just have one deep at tackle. You can't just be one deep. And Tyler Johnson gets absolutely. They talk about how he looks in pads and how he's changed his body already physically. The Texas Tech commit flip that you got. That's another one of those late Hugh Freeze specials, 4-star guy who redshirted. Tyler Johnson, I would be, he's going to push people. He's going to push people at both tackles. And that's what you have to have. And he was kind of one of those, borderline guys to put on my list because I don't know that he's going to play, but he's crucial from the standpoint that he's got to be able to push those guys. And he's already garnering huge praise in the bowl practices, workouts, everything, scout team. Like he's going to be a player moving forward.
Yeah, the fact that Tyler Johnson and then the incoming JUCO player, Seth Wilfred, are probably going to be your backup tackles. And it's like, well, those 2 guys could start at tackle potentially next year. I mean, that's an interesting situation that we've not really found ourselves in lately. So that's a good one. And then another guy that I almost went out on a limb and put him on here, Brenton Williams, just because as of right now, unless Jamonta Waller, which could totally hop him, but like, there's just not a whole lot of jack linebackers on this roster right now. And so Brenton Williams by default is kind of the backup to McLeod until Waller goes in and takes it. So Brenton Williams is a guy worth watching too. So
sure.
Charlie 5, how can people check out everything that you've got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Find me on Twitter at @the_Charlie_5 in the Locked On Auburn Discord every single day, or you can catch me Tuesdays and Thursdays to Top Button Podcast. Get buttoned up.
Yep, the link to the Auburn Daily YouTube page where you can hear the Top Button Podcast is in the episode description down below, whether you're watching or listening. Comment down below your top 5 guys for this season when you look at the 2023 class. I think you can make the argument for a bunch like we just attempted to do. Click the like button, subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.